What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Beyond Time. That's right, this is where we go and review the current episode, and this week's episode was episode 2 of Loki season 2. Guys, I thought that was amazing, but before we get into any of that, let me introduce my co-hosts for this one. We've got Chiapet right here beside me, and of course,
What's
right
up,
below,
guys?
you've got Anthony from Reference Point Podcast. If you guys haven't yet, go check it out. You can find that information within the description of this video. But yes, episode 2. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of dialogue, a lot of good story advancement, which we'll get into. But Chiapet, let's start with you. What'd you think of it out the gate?
I had heard a lot of like, oh, it's slow and it's the least impressive, or people had the most adverse reaction to episode 2. I like the story-driven episodes. So, like me, the dialogues that they were having throughout the show, like in the episodes, I thought they were so insightful into what the characters are that
Yeah.
I was in, and I loved X5. I thought him and Obi are top-notch additions to the cast.
Yep. Anthony.
Just because something's slow doesn't make it boring. And if this is the worst episode of the season, then oh my god, this is going to be an incredible season. Was this episode as good as episode 1? I'd say probably not, but it's still a solid episode overall. Took its time, dialogue heavy, but that's never a bad thing. So
No, exactly. And it's funny you say that because yes, so far from what we've seen from, reviewers, critics, and so forth, a lot of people were privileged enough to see the first 4 episodes, right? So, a lot of the reviews coming in were that episode 2 seems to be the slowest of them all. But if this is what's considered slow, hey, I'm ready for the rest of this ride. It was a great one. I thought it was a good show. But we're going to be doing something a little fun tonight as well. Yes, just like last week, we'll break down the episode, go through, the events that took place within this episode. But we got a lot of McDonald's in this one, right? I finished this episode hungry. I have munchies, and I didn't even do anything to get those munchies. But yeah, man. So it was awesome to see McDonald's so much within this episode that we're gonna go through at the end of this show what we consider the best Happy Meal toys of all time. So stick around for that. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, okay. So let's kick it off, man. So the episode starts, and where does it start? It's starting within London, UK, and we're going all the way back to 1977, right? You see Mobius and you see Loki make their way into there, and they're looking for Sylvie, and the setting felt a little similar. I'm going to be honest with you. It kind of felt like, you remember within the previews, we saw Victor Timely, Loki, and Mobius in the theater. There was that theatrical, well, they were near a theater as well, right? That's where they made their way into, and I was like, oh, okay. So is this what we're gonna get Victor Timely? I was pumped, right? I thought we were gonna see some Kang, but no.
like,
lo
finally.
and behold, what do we get? Turn the corner and you get the big sign, right? On the billboard right there, you've got Zaniac. So that was pretty cool. And we've seen lots of rumors about this, that this character was going to appear within the series. So here we go. Already in episode 2, we're getting him. And so you see Brad Wolf, Zaniac on the billboard, and Mobius, Loki are in the theater. He's having exchanges, all Hollywood and whatnot, right? If that's even a thing in this timeline. But yeah, so he's there. People are greeting him and so forth, and then Mobius sees him, right? So Mobius and him have an exchange, and they know each other. They know each other, right? They had a cool little exchange right there, and yeah, man. So that, out the gate, what'd you guys think? Did you expect some Victor Timely action? What were you expecting?
I mean, I was expecting Victor Timely right away. I was like, oh, yes, finally we get to see this guy. And then I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. It's fine.
Yeah.
But that being said, it was cool opening it. It kind of just started. I was like, whoa, this is not where I thought this was going. Like, you think it's going to start in the TVA or something. Nope, straight into the action. You're right away. You're there. 1977, the year of the first Star Wars movie. Everyone loves that. So it was a strong start. It caught me off guard a little bit. That's what I could say. But I always love Owen Wilson. Oh, he's so funny. He really brings it in the show.
Yeah, he kills it. Chiapet, before we get to you, let's just give a quick hi. Steph's Comics in the house. Lefteros is in the house. Definitely go check out his awesomeness.
What's up, boys?
Is in the house. Yes, of course. Live chat, showing some love. Hyper Combo Comics, my brother. We got Matthew in the house, of course. I think we know Matthew
I
pretty
know.
well. Yeah, exactly. And Newbie Comics just hit me up as well. Brad's character is basically BC in the movie premiere. Yeah, okay. Thank you. But no, Newbie actually hit me up. He saw the episode. He graded it a 9 to 9.5 on 10. So yeah, he was, and he's not an easy critic. He's
No,
very
I
hard
know.
to do. Yeah, but all right, Chiapet, let me know.
Listen, I'm a sucker for schmoozy type douchebags. So that opening scene where he was going through the line and then he's trying to like work Mobius and Loki is gold for me.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I thought that was wonderful. I think X5 has been good from the moment he's been on the show. I think Obi is like an incredible acquisition, like addition. Like we all know that the guy is a baller, but X5 and what he's doing is going. I hope people recognize. I think his name is Caselli, right? The actor. Yep. Yeah, he's really on point with this. Like, I don't know. I mean, you guys know obviously Bradley Cooper, right?
Of course.
And I always say Bradley Cooper. You feel like he's an asshole in the movie what's The Hangover. Like you could that guy. You felt it, and the same way you feel this guy. Yep. He's so good at his job that you think that he's the douchebag. So yeah, I loved it.
And
he impressed me.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the assholeness, right? Because what does he do? He offers a drink, right? He offers a drink to the guys. He's like, does anybody want a drink? No. Mobius is ready to take a drink. He's like, come on, there's nothing wrong with that. Loki's like, no, I'm fine. And he's like, fine, I'll get whiskeys for everybody. What does he do? Takes off. The man goes on the run. Just takes on the run. And like Loki's like, he's running. No, I think it was Mobius was like, he's running, right? And then they start to head out. Loki goes one way and Mobius goes the other. And we catch Loki now in the alleyway chasing him, right? So he's chasing Zaniac, and it was fun to see Loki use his powers, right? He hasn't used his powers in what feels like almost forever, right? So he, I guess, uses his magic stuff, sends him flying down the stairs and so forth. And lo and behold, once he knocks him over, you see now he's fidgeting with a device too, right? Zaniac's got a device in his hands, which immediately you're like, okay, what's going on over here? But yeah, man. So he's got him pretty much down and whatnot. But using that device, it relocated Zaniac, right? So he's now somewhere else, outdoors, and he ends up in a gang, right? Of people. I guess you could call him like a little street gang and whatnot, rebels. So Loki's there, and he uses his magic, right? He's controlling the crowd with the illusions and so forth. You see him freeze them, and then you just see a bunch of Lokis popping up. So that was fun. That was cool to see again. But not only does he use his illusions through the people, but as Zaniac backs his way into the wall, when you see the Loki shadows coming through with the horns, and it holds him down via the shadows, I was like, yo, this is well done. This was excellent. I love that so much, man. I don't know what you guys thought about that. And then we go straight into the credits from there. But yeah, what'd you guys think of that?
I love the big bendy horns. They always hit for me. So seeing that in the shadows, what a cool effect. I was like, wow, caught me off guard. Wasn't what I was expecting.
Yep.
I thought the use of the powers was good, because one of the criticisms I think we've heard a few times is, he's not really mischievous anymore. Yep. And I feel in this episode they really leaned into him being a lot more mischievous on that line of, I'm trying to help everybody, but I'm doing it Loki way kind of a thing a little bit, And also even with the part with like when the guy ran, when X5 ran, what I found really impressive and why the show works so well, I think, is because the characters, their dynamic and their traits are always true in where they're going to be. When Mobius, so friendly and and accepting of people, he's like, let's have a drink. Like, because he's trusting. He's not stupid. He's just trusting. Yeah. He wants to believe in the best of nature of people. And then he's like, man, he ran. And he's not whining, he's just got to go handle it, And that's why the show works so well.
Yep.
For me, at least, it's the character of those two so much.
No, I agree, man. And of course, like I was saying, putting emphasis on the fact that they use the illusions on Loki's powers and so forth. It was cool, man, just to see some of that again. And we got a lot more of that within the episode. So let's keep this topic rolling, but we learn now. We get back, from the credit of Loki. We're back within the room of the TVA, where they watch over the timeline and so forth on that screen, and we see a discussion being had that Renslayer apparently erased data from her tempad, right? So Miss Minutes is also helping Renslayer, is what we find out in this moment, and that's pretty important. Kind of like we said last week, how Loki's aware that Miss Minutes is on both sides, but the rest of the TVA didn't know until a certain somebody said it, right? Within this room, this is where it happened. So I thought that was an important piece right there. So now, you can see the division continuing within the TVA. Yeah. So what do you think of that little exchange right there?
Anthony, you want to go or?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's cool. It's like I've been really liking the mystery of the TVA, like how it's building up slowly. We're slowly seeing it unravel. What's going on over there? We got a lot of that in season 1 of like, oh, they're taking lives away from people. But now that they know what they've been about, we're seeing the effects and how they have to fix it. It's cool. It's like it's really interesting to me, like the way it's playing out. I can't wait to see more of it.
I also think there's a dynamic that's in play that I don't think they've wanted to accept. Is with the time loom or whatever that you're going to call it, they may have to prune, like what the event that happens later on in the episode. We will talk about it when we go through it.
Yeah,
is that something that's going to give them some time to catch up for Obi to figure out a way to do something? Is that a delay thing? Because they were on the cusp, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the ticking clock, right? That is going down. They got a stay of execution, but is that going to make them realize that they may have to keep doing it, even though they don't want to? Yeah. That's the real moral dilemma of this whole thing. There's a few moral ones. The other conversation when Loki has with Owen Wilson, with Mobius, that's another one as well. Like, what do you do? Yep. Anyway, we'll cover that afterwards, obviously.
Yeah, no, we're going to actually get to it very shortly.
Because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
It happens rather quickly.
And Casey's amazing too, by the way. The way they explored Casey character and what happens later, and how he actually knows what's going on because he paid attention to the rules, and how he can be helpful now in this case, and I presume he will be, right? Is a welcome addition as well.
Absolutely,
they're giving him a bigger role from season 1. Like he didn't do much in season 1, but now they're giving him stuff to do. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
But so from there we get to the interrogation room, right? And this is where they're keeping Brad Wolf. So the interrogation is happening, and it's regarding the Tempad and many other things as well, because they are looking for Sylvie, right? Mobius, Loki. This is what they're on a mission for. So the exchange with Loki and Brad Wolf, it gets pretty intense, man. You see Brad Wolf kind of questioning Loki, saying, here you are trying to redeem yourself for all the BS that you've done, right? And trying to play hero, but in reality, we all know you're a villain. You are a villain, and it is what it is, and that you, Loki, are the problem. It is you, the problem of all this. So I thought that was pretty intense, and that, he's saying like Loki's making everything worse, but the constant reminding Loki that you're the villain and you cannot play hero. I thought that was a cool exchange, but what ends up happening, it kind of brought out the evil in Loki, man, and the evil Loki starts to shine, bro. That was phenomenal. When I saw Tom Hiddleston get into that Avengers 1 Loki mode, I was like, yes, finally, right? I think we all missed that one.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people forget that this Loki is the one from 2012. Like, this is not the one that went through Ragnarok. Like, he just watched it at the TVA, but he didn't live it. Like, so he has been like evil his whole career. It's like, we can't forget that. You know?
It's funny, just to add to that, because there is an episode within season 1 where they started off right from there. It's from the Avengers Tower 2012, and how he makes his way out, right? You see the little Ant-Man push the case while after he got held captive and ends up with the Tesseract, and he ends up I forget where, in some desert and whatnot, where the TVA shows up. And then as he gets into the TVA, I don't know if you remember, he falls in. They throw him down into the seats after he's in the elevator, and they unclothe him. He falls into his TVA jumpsuit, and as he's talking, the guy's like, "Sign this,"
Yeah.
And he's like,
Every
whatever,
word he's
and
ever said.
the
Everything's
papers are
Yeah.
just coming in. So it's exactly that, Anthony. It's how this is 2012 Loki. This is the Loki that we're now
Yeah.
supporting throughout all of this, and I just thought it was well done, man. The interrogation and seeing that evil Loki come back a little bit, it made me want more. That's all I'm gonna say. But
And Brad, man, I would say that actor Brad, he like Chip has said before, he really gets on your nerves. Like he's
Yep.
really getting to you. Like he
Oh.
he is annoying, man.
I can't. It cracked Mobius. Mobius
Yep.
cracked.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like who can stop it? Like you can't. You want to, like just slap. He has a facha scaff, right? That's what they call it, right?
Exactly.
You want, you know. But seeing that that part of Loki, right when I saw it, yeah, I was into it. You know, like okay, it's still there. Like he's doing his best, you know, to keep everything cool. You know, he's got his boy. You know, he doesn't want to put him in a bad position by doing something half cocked. You know, but it's really close. Like that part with the mother thing. And the part that was really interesting that he kept calling him a loser.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're a loser.
And
you know,
it's true. Loki just loses.
But
because,
I have a theory on that.
Yeah.
Because it even ties into season 1 because he's constantly reminded about what a failure he was.
Yeah.
It's, it's bringing it back full circle. He's destined with glorious purpose. That's what he thinks.
I think he's gonna get that destined with glorious purpose at the end.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Exactly. But to him right now, he always thought he was, but he figures now it's an insecurity that he's not.
I don't think he ever thought,
and you could tell it's getting to him.
I don't think he ever thought that he was.
Yep.
I don't think. I think he just said it. He was because he wanted to believe it, but always thought that he wasn't. Yeah. You know, you get what I mean? And then he's gonna realize that he is worth it. That's what I think. The end result of the whole arc. I don't know when that is going to be.
It's like one of the comments just said it's like he watched a movie that's basically the failure of his whole life. Last season, like he watched his whole life as basically fail after fail after fail. Like so that's why it's clearly like the words get to him. You could tell. Like
But yeah, man. So there was that, and we also just a bit beforehand, which I forgot to mention, was that they bring that device that Zaniac had to Obi, right? So they bring it to Obi, and he's like, "Is this more important than trying to, pretty much just save all these timelines with
same reality?"
Yeah,
and you're like, I guess not. Yeah, we'll take it.
So that was funny. We got a little bit of Obi right there, but so like I said, it gets pretty intense. But then he does the same to Mobius, asking Mobius a ton of questions, where you're from, the TVA, and so forth. Like, don't you ever get curious of what your timeline should be? And you could tell he's getting under Mobius's skin, and he succeeds because Mobius snaps. He just slaps him, and that is something we never thought would happen.
Gives me the old Will Smith.
Yeah, he pulled a Will Smith, kind of like what Chiapet said. Is Mobius just is a good guy. He hopes the best for everybody. But in that moment, man, we saw another side of Mobius, which was pretty cool. Yeah. What'd you guys think of that scene? The whole Mobius snapping.
It's weird when you see like such a kind-hearted character who like he never gets angry or anything. Seeing that like change, but like you understand, like you get it because this guy is annoying as hell. So like you blame him for slapping him? Not really. He probably could have done something worse, like a full-on punch or something. But I forgive him. So
I think what Brad was telling him was a universal thing that the majority of them are feeling. So it was easy to get there because even though Mobius clearly didn't want to say it, he probably was feeling that exact thing. Yeah. Those thoughts were gnawing in his head, right?
Yeah. He said it even in the last season, though. Like he was saying, like, it clearly got to him last season. You could tell, and now it's like this season he eased up on it. He's okay with it. He's living because he realized he likes the TV. Actually, it's fine. He's coping with it.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, it's definitely something that's gnawing at him.
Yep.
And I wonder if it's going to be something that we're going to see later on.
And just to add to that, he slaps him. They leave the room. Now they're going down a hallway, and they end up in another place where they sit down, and they have the lime pie, I believe it was, or whatever.
Key lime pie.
Yeah, there you go. But
also, there's like a funny joke that really made me laugh. Funny, he's like, "I was following you," and he's like clearly in front of him.
Yeah,
Like, but I was following you.
Yeah, and Loki points that out. He points it out.
Made me laugh. It just caught me off guard. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what ends up happening is they're sitting down having the pie
Mhm.
together, and within this episode, we learn that Mobius really loves pie. It doesn't stop. Like we'll talk about that later, but
Loves it.
yeah, but they're sitting down, and Loki's questioning Mobius as well. About his timeline, maybe wanting to go back home. Like, don't you want to see? And he kind of references that I also don't want to see the good that it could have been because that's always going to stay here, right? So
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool moment between the two. Like I said, there's a lot of exchanges here that you take away from the show, and you're like starting to see more character development and so forth. So that was cool. And then we see immediately after that sit down. Obi goes to connect the temporal aura, and unfortunately, it's no bueno, man. It's no good.
No
It did
bueno,
not.
bueno.
It did not work.
Not good at
Yeah,
all.
and he's there. He's like, "We're gonna die. We're
Yeah.
gonna die. That's it."
But
That's
he's like
his-
super chill about it. Like,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah. But the whole "we're gonna die" thing happens a little later. But
Mhm.
that was immediately his vibes. Like we're doomed at
Yeah.
this point. So
Yeah.
yeah, he was working on that when Loki and Mobius showed up to the room, right, asking if he can work with the tempad and so forth. But that was what he was working with. So from there, back to the interrogation room we go on X5, and they're connecting a machine. Now Mobius and Loki seem to have a different approach here, right? It's kind of like, okay, we played good cop, now we got to play bad cop. And I thought it was a cool little exchange that happens here because they come in connecting the machine, and you could tell that Zaniac feels a little bit threatened here. X5, sorry, he's feeling a bit threatened, and he's not buying into it though. He doesn't think they're going to do anything with it because you need a remote to start that thing.
Yeah.
And so Mobius is going to get it. And what does Loki do? Loki does Loki things, locks Mobius out, and it's just me and you, baby. Let's do this. I thought that was awesome because he's starting to shake him now, right? And what does he do? He's literally starting to squeeze him in with that little thing
Yeah.
through the machine. So if you guys saw it, you know exactly what I'm speaking about. And I could tell you, I was feeling some of that pressure too. Like as the walls were closing in, they were closing in on me, dude. Like my breath when he was crammed at one point, I'm like, dude, I'm feeling this. Like, I don't
Bro,
want.
just tell him, man. Just tell him. It's not
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, man, what'd you guys think of that? All that interrogation again, going back to the room and so forth. I thought we saw evil Loki kick up again, which was awesome. I loved it.
It's funny because it plays into that one comment they make at the beginning of the episode where it's like, "Hey, Mobius, you're a good actor, actually," and then it's like, he's acting at the door, pretending, "No, Loki, don't do it." Even though he's kind of like, you can tell he's acting. Like Owen Wilson, you see, he goes a bit lower in the acting range, and he goes like, "No, Loki, don't do it, really." Like,
Yeah,
I was
Brad,
waiting. You could see he's nervous, man.
Yeah, I was waiting for Owen Wilson to walk in and be like, "Wow." I just wanted to hear a wow.
It's been second season now. We haven't heard wow yet. Where is it? Come on, bring it in the show. But it's I just the whole scene. It was just a fun scene. Like I love when Tom Hiddleston really brings out like the evil in him. Like he's talking lower and he's like going slowly and he's just building up the fear, And you can tell Brad. He's like. You slowly see him break as the scene progresses and whatnot. And I also this is really random, but watching it, you could see how like it's clearly used technology right down to like the box that he's trapped in. You could see like scratches on it and whatnot. I really like that that used look. Like it's a real good like set design and whatnot. So I appreciated that.
Yeah.
It was overall a fun scene, I could say. So.
Yeah. Going back to the first scene you mentioned. BC the conversation over the pie. First of all, his description of the pie and the way that they both agreed that the pie was incredible.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it came out of that little pie kind of thing dispensary, which doesn't even make sense that it would be incredible.
A pie hole.
Yeah, those pie. It's so symmetrical and beautiful set design, like Anthony mentioned before. But I think Comic Nation mentioned in the chat how the fear that his life was actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would drive him crazy if not the fear that it was bad. It would drive him crazy if it's good. It was such a heartbreaking scene and delivered so well. And then Loki understanding where he's coming from, but then Loki throwing in the part where where there's even earlier when he's talking about losing control because he's admitting it, finally, because it's his buddy, and you could say, I messed up, I was disheveled, even that joke that Anthony brought up where he was following him was because he was so still wound up at that moment,
he was still spinning.
He was rattled.
He was still spinning, So that little subtle thing where they don't say that he's spinning, but you get it from the dialogue is what the show is doing so well. It's showing you instead of telling you, And then when Loki mentioned that comment about the Battle of New York, he goes, listen, we all lose control sometimes. He goes, I lost control. I try to brainwash Tony Stark, and then I threw him out the window. It wasn't tactical. He goes, it wasn't a tactical move. And the way he said it, and I'm like, man, this is just great dialogue.
Yep.
And then after, like I said, the interrogation was creepy Loki. There was the way he could switch back and forth from sympathetic Loki to creepy evil Loki.
I love it.
In a heartbeat. It's just it's one, and you love both.
Yeah,
that's what's so good about it. You were rooting for him to be good and to get that level of recognition, but you're also like so into him being the mischievous evil one, And there's some theories we'll talk about at the end about what's going where his end game is.
Yeah.
No pun intended. I'm just so witty that I make puns when I'm not intending it. We'll talk about after I want to mention that. What's going on.
That's one of my favorite parts from last week's episode where we went through, some theories and so forth. But something else that happened at the end of last week's episode is we see in the post-credit scene, Sylvie made her way to Oklahoma, and it's 1982, baby. We're at McDonald's, so we get back here right now, right? The show gets back to Oklahoma, 1982 McDonald's, and can I take your order, boys? Because what ends up happening, Sylvie's working at the cash, right? So Loki, Mobius, and X5, Zaniac, walk through the door. And again, Mobius, you can see the exchange between, just the looks, right? The stare down between Loki and Sylvie, slow approach, and Mobius is like, I'm going to get pie, because Zaniac just wants to go back. He doesn't want to stay there, right? So he just wants to get back. He's anxious, and you see he's anxious out the gate, right? So we'll get into the anxiousness in a little bit, but Loki tells Sylvie once he gets to the cash that he saw the future, and puts emphasis on the fact that she was there, and that future we're speaking of is within episode 1, where she's opening the elevator doors and you see her there, and she's like, there you are, phone's ringing, and Loki goes back, right? So that now is being said by Loki to Sylvie, and we finally see an exchange between the two, and Owen Wilson is back. Mobius is going to town on that pie again. He's just, I believe it was the apple one. It looked like an apple pie. I know
this time it was apple.
Yeah, exactly. But man, so back to 1982 we go. Now, Zaniac and Mobius are eating, like I said. Well, actually, Mobius is eating. Zaniac
he has a shake.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like I said, you can see he's stressed, right? So a lot of emphasis on his stress that even Mobius, like Chiapet said earlier, was starting to be like, hey, dude, you look very stressed type thing. Like, did you set us up? Like, is this a setup type thing, right? He thought he was going to get ambushed and whatnot. So Loki and Sylvie are gonna have a discussion. She said, I'm going on break within 5 minutes. So they go outside. But Zaniac basically says at that point, when they're all outside, that if they stay there, everybody's gonna die. So he's stressed. He's saying this. Sylvie's clearly, embracing this the way anybody would, like, kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? So she goes and what does she do? She enchants him, right? So she uses her powers, enchants him, and sees that they're pretty much, the TVA is pruning all branches. So she saw that, and stuff hits the fan at that point, right? So again, cool exchange, the McDonald's stuff, which again, I'm gonna say it, we're gonna start talking the Happy Meal, best Happy Meal toys of all time by the end of the show. But McDonald's scene, all of this stuff that I just spoke about, what do you guys think? Anthony, go first.
I was just saying, at first, like, the guy, what's his name, Brad, he wants to leave and whatnot. Like, you could tell, okay, he wants to, but then, like, as it's going on, the scene's progressing, like, and they're eating, and he's freaking out. I'm like, okay, now I know something. Like, I before Mobius even pointed it out, I'm like, something's going on with this guy. He knows more than we think, maybe. Yeah. And then you realize that they're gonna start pruning the timelines again, and you're like, oh shit, like wow, okay, they did exactly what we thought they were gonna do, but still when it happens, you're still shocked, you know.
And it clears up what we saw within the end of last episode, right? How we're looking for Sylvie, but they're not looking for Sylvie. This is what's going on.
Yeah, they got a population of a small island looking for Sylvie. Like, you know, they come on, they're doing something else.
Yeah.
But Mobius is eating apple pie, man. Oh my god, what is up with the pies though? Like, do they mean more? Do they not?
He's crossing the multiverse for pie. It's literally what's happening.
I mean, the key lime pie that looked good, man. Like, oh, I wanted a piece. Never mind. Like the apple, you know, I know I could get at any McD's, but like that key lime, where do I get that? That's what I want to know.
Not the old school apple pie that were fried.
Yep.
Now they don't do those anymore, Anthony. It's before your time.
Yep. I can't relate that.
They were
I never went to McDonald's in the 80s.
That's why he was so happy.
Yeah, now they're okay. You know, I don't go to McD's for an apple pie. You know, maybe a McDouble, but an apple pie, really.
But yeah, Chiapet, let us know.
Well, the part on we're talking about Mobius talking, that line delivery where he goes, "I thought you were setting us up, man, but I realized you were just setting us up for a great meal."
Yeah,
I had to rewind twice because it was so well done. And I had no clue. I'm not gonna lie to you guys that Brad was playing them. I thought he was just nervous because he was, you know. So when Mobius figured it out, you know, at that moment, you know, I actually had the eureka moment with Mobius because I was just buying what he was selling the whole time. I'm like, this guy's a doofus, you know. He just wants to go back to his thing. Meanwhile, no, the guy was, and he specifically kept saying, "Send me back to my place on the sacred timeline."
Yes.
Yeah. You know.
The secret.
So there was a reason he didn't want to be on a branch. He wanted to be on the sacred one because they were clipping everybody from branches.
Yep.
You know, so I think that was super well done. Again, another thing I noticed is the plot line where you saw them marching out and you thought, okay, that's gonna be like a 3-4 episode thing. No, man, it's cut. It's done. They figured that out. You know, like there's no dangling plot line that they're setting us up in filler episode talk. You know, people would like say that, you know, like, oh, they delayed that scene. Everything that they started in that one, they picked up and clipped already here and did it, except for the overarching thing of the time loop.
Yep.
So that's great. My brother made a comment a little bit where the thing with Sylvie, she's a little bit aggressive and angry at Mobius a little bit. At Loki. And dude, if anybody should be angry here, it's my boy Loki, bro. Because you did him dirty, you know, and then you're angry at him for being played by you. And like, I get it. You spent millennia running from the TVA, so you're a little bit sick of their crap. So you did what you did, but you got to have a little bit of sympathy. You kissed the dude, and then you chopped him.
I think what seems to be the most important comment of the night definitely goes out to AOA because apparently Marvel.com's Loki key lime pie recipe has been posted.
No fucking way. Holy shit.
Now that's good research. AOA bringing the facts.
Thank you. I'm going to call my mom tomorrow and she's going to make me a nice pie. Oh my God.
There you go. That's a quick shout out to Andrew for swinging by. I greatly appreciate this guy. And
what's up, Andrew? Of course. What's up, UniX?
There you go. Dan De La Torre said he's watching it right now, man. So we're gonna
mute us.
Back to the show, but I appreciate you swinging by. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But all right, man. So moving on from all of that exchange, the whole McDonald's stuff, we now get back to the TVA where we see now devastation across the board. Right? They walk into the room, and what do we figure out is that the TVA has pruned multiple timelines, and everyone's devastated because they even say it. This is billions of lives gone, just erased, gone, doesn't exist anymore.
Probably trillions.
Yeah, exactly. And the TVA did their damage, man, and they're still going through it. So what ends up happening? Loki and the gang go to interrupt, right? So we see now where all the TVA is jumping through the multiverse and stuff, going to prune and bomb whatever it is that they're doing with all these timelines to just completely erase them off the map. Loki, the gang, go to interrupt. there was a lot of cool scenes on that one, right? This is probably the only action we really got within the episode. But they head back to that headquarters, and you can see on the screen, like I said, everything's been pruned, but we have a hit also on Renslayer. So there was a comment that was made that, Renslayer, they did get a hit on it through the tempad thing. Now Sylvie tells Loki it's the TVA. They're rotten, right? They're the rotten ones at the end of all of that stuff. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm jumping a bit ahead. So the entire scene with all the action, you see Loki using his powers, you see Mobius smacking some people around. Everybody's getting involved, trying to stop the TVA, in which they do. And I thought it was cool to see some of those mystical powers and so forth, because we haven't seen Loki or anybody be using those in a little bit. And then I thought it was a bit cheesy. I'll be honest with you, a little corny. The whole, like, they held hands, Loki and Sylvie, and then you just got this big green Kamehameha.
Missed.
Just take off.
It's the power of self love.
I guess.
Self love.
Yeah.
The power of love. It's a beautiful thing.
Whatever that was, but it worked. I mean, everybody got taken down. So they interfered with the TVA's mission, but unfortunately the TVA got pretty much ahead and did quite some damage. And like I said, Sylvie was saying by the end of this that, it's the TVA. They're rotten. And you had Loki being told he's the problem by Zaniac at the beginning. Then you have Sylvie saying it's the TVA, and we see the division within the TVA through these episodes, right? So you're seeing a lot of that. And now what does Sylvie do? By the end of this episode, she heads back to McDonald's. She's going to work the counter again, baby.
Yep.
So yeah, and then since we're already at the end of the episode, we'll go through all of what I just spoke about. But back to the McDonald's, she's sitting on her car. The night shift, guy just came out. She's asking if he is okay to get home. You see just a gradual exchange, because I guess she's now embracing that, that luckily that timeline exists, but multiple others don't, and the TVA is out there to do all of this nonsense and just wipe out timelines. So it was that's pretty much the episode. It was a good episode. I don't consider it better than episode 1. That's my honest opinion. But let's get your feedback on this section, to the ending of the show. We'll go individually, and of course, like I said, we're gonna go through the best Happy Meal toys of all time, because this McDonald's throwbacks definitely took us all back. I actually still have one of them here with me, so I'll show you guys that.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, for me, even though I found the directing of this episode not as strong as the first one, like I found the first one, like the way the camera moved and whatnot, just looked a lot better and it flowed a lot better. Yeah. But that moment when Hunter B-15 says these are billions of lives, like I don't know about you guys, I really felt the impact of that moment. Like it did make me, like, it made me sad. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it really did bring out some emotion in me, and yeah, it kind of caught me a little bit off guard. I wasn't expecting to feel that during the episode.
Yeah.
And now skipping a bit ahead to Sylvie going back to McDee's and whatnot and chilling. But if I'm not mistaken, is she holding Hugh Remains' time pad or tempad?
Yeah,
or what? That's what I think it is.
She has,
right?
Yeah, and that's how she keeps opening her. Like, that's how she went back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that was like the big reveal, right? We didn't know that. I don't. Yeah. At least if we didn't know that, I forgot. But when I saw it, I was like, "That's Hugh Remains." Like, I have a Funko Pop. That's how I recognized it. So that's pretty sad. But but that's it. So I'm like, okay, now we're getting a bit more of the Sylvie story. How she's doing this? We're getting. It's clear they're giving us some answers.
Yeah.
Well, I think the key one was I thought the battle was just a typical kind of a fight, The ramifications of the timelines being pruned, I think, served to show how the TVA has changed, or at least a part of it has. But it's kind of like the delaying the doomsday clock. Like, they got a stay of execution, right? To give Obi some more time and make the whole overarching thing. But I really think that the key through the whole thing is that Renslayer mention, because if you remember in the first season, she gets information from Miss Minutes, and Miss Minutes gave that information from He Who Remains. So my theory is He Who Remains knows which Kang variant becomes He Who Remains. So he's sending Renslayer back to meet the Kang variant that she falls in love with that eventually becomes He Who Remains. And I believe that's going to be Victor Timely. So you understand? Because he loves her and because he set her up in the TVA to be close to him, but he can't be near her because of whatever happens afterwards. I believe that they're going to have a falling out of some sort or something. But he has her almost like a pet slave there, with no memory. He doesn't want to lose her, so he's sending her back to find out the man who she helps take over the TVA, right, or create the TVA and win the war. So he's kind of fulfilling that loop kind of thing to ensure that he kind of happens, because he didn't say you'll only get more of me. He also said, see you soon.
Yes, exactly.
He also said there's going to be more of me, more of the devil, but you're also going to see me soon, kind of. Yeah. So I'm really thinking Victor Timely ends up being the one that becomes the He Who Remains eventually, if we still get a He Who Remains. But that's his eventual goal, I think. So I think that's a little bit of a loop that we're going to see eventually. And I think that's what the key part of that episode, setting up in the third one, I presume, because they're sort of going through so fast through the plot lines. Yeah. So that's a cool one, I think.
I mean, when it's only 6 episodes, I feel like they have to go fast. There's no time to go slow. You just got to go right in it. So
that's not true. I think that most episodes have set up a lot of stuff in the first 2 episodes, meander for 2 more, and then try to close it up in 1 episode at the end, right?
Yeah, but that's just bad pacing. That's like a regular show would have good pacing and do that.
I think Loki has
succeeded. Look at you, Secret Invasion.
Yeah. I think Loki has succeeded in both. And so far in this one and the other one too, properly seems to be pacing out their shows, I think, to be honest.
They proved it with their season 1, that's for sure, more than a lot of the other shows did.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the pacing is great. Like, episode 1 had quite a bit of everything in it, right? It really it got us back up to speed with everything that happened within season 1. It kicked off exactly where we wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, it was straight action, Loki running. I thought it was a great first episode. Now, episode 2, a little slow paced, right? It's again, like I said at the beginning of this show, a lot of reviewers, people like new rock stars and so forth, have already seen the first 4 episodes, and everybody.
2 for new rock star.
2 for new rock star.
Yeah, and Eric. I was talking to my brother Terry Lefteros before. He was Eric Voss, who I really like, by the way. New rock stars, Screen Crush. These guys are beasts. I think that they Master T from Heavy Spoilers. These guys, they're machines. What they review and how they figure things out and everything. Yeah. But Eric Voss was calling something very problematic about this episode, and I'm watching the episode and I'm like, what's problematic about it? I presume
really
maybe it's the torture scene, because that could be the only thing that may be problematic. It doesn't like torture, but I mean, at no points did I think that they were really going to kill the guy. Or
I hope he didn't watch Guardians 3 then. If he doesn't like torture.
Yeah. So I don't know what the problematic thing would be, but I didn't find it. So I guess my expectations were maybe lowered, but I thought the episode was rolling. Anyways, go ahead, Jorlando.
So back to AOA saying theory time, because we'll get into it. But like I was saying, the episode itself did feel a lot slower than episode 1, but there was a lot of character and story development. So I was okay with what we got. Now, before we get into the theory time, because yes, AOA is calling it out, we did do it in the first episode, and I'm not one that enjoys this. Anthony, you made it very clear last episode as well, but we're going to do it just the same on a scale of 1 to 10. What do you guys think of episode 2?
Do we remember what I gave episode 1? Like, did I give it like 8 or 9?
I think you gave it a 9 or an 8, somewhere around there.
So I'll say 9 for the last one. So I'll give this one 8.5. So it's like almost as good, just a bit under,
Yeah. Chiapet.
Well, if I gave it a last one, I think I was like perfect last time, but whatever. Let's say 9.5. I'll give this one a 9 kind of thing. I think it's just because the first one had a little bit more kinetic pace.
Yeah.
And I think maybe set up a lot more, introduced us to Obi and to X5. So it gets a little bit of an edge on that one. I think that one, but this one got me the feels with McDonald's. Yeah. So it got in there.
But even like last week's, like I said before, I found last week's the directing was a little better. It was a little more like funky, to say the least. Like,
it was a
this one
different
is
director.
a lot more normal, you know. Yeah, it was. I think the other ones had the Moon Knight directors.
It's the two brothers, the two directors together for Moon Knight.
Yeah, for Moon Knight, exactly.
This one is another director. I think they're the showrunners, though, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I know the head writer is Eric Martin, and he has a mini writer room. But I know Eric Martin. I think he's getting credited on all the episodes, so I know he's like the head writer.
It's more of a thing. Well, now they all have to have writing room. You know, let's change on Marvel. That's all. We'll talk about that another time.
That was a good article. That's all I can say.
So on my end, I agree with you guys. For me, the story development was good. There's a lot of progress. So again, with the characters, with the TVA itself, with all of this, right? So a lot of things unfolded here story-wise. But I gotta say, obviously, episode 1 for me was way better. But the real thing that did it for me and really like made me, oh yeah, this is a good episode, was seeing Loki's evil side come back a little bit, right? Seeing some of his powers again. The shadow scene where, you know, the horns come out and it holds Zaniac down, like that was just mind blowing. I felt like that was so well done. That was a classic scene for me. I thought that was great. And of course the interrogations, right, where Loki, you see him start to get pissed after he's been told he's a loser several times and that he is just a villain. He will never redeem himself or be a hero. When I saw the OG Loki come out and start talking to him in such a demeaning way, I was like, yes, this is the Loki I want. This is the Loki we need. So that being said, I gave last week's episode an 8. I'm going to give this one a fair 7. I think it was a good episode. So I'm looking forward to episode 3 now. Unfortunately, this one had no post-credit scene, so we don't have any post-credit scene to talk about. But what we do have to talk about is McDonald's. There's a lot of McDonald's within this episode. So like I told you guys several times within this show, we're going to kick it back to some retroness on epic, absolutely epic Happy Meal toys, some of the best of all times, selected by all 3 of us. And like I said, I have one here with me now. It might surprise you because it's the most useful one I have ever received. So let's kick it off, guys. The first one, obviously, you remember these Halloween ones, right? Everybody had one of these. I still see some people with these, man. I have friends that still have this stuff. So
don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. I don't know what that is.
Oh, stop it! Don't put you're putting your age out there at this point. But
I really am.
The meal was in them, right?
I believe so, but yeah, man, getting into the Halloween spirits because this is where we're at. But this is one that definitely needed an honorable mention. But this, you guys remember this? The Batman Returns toys.
Come on,
this was amazing.
I was too old for these, so I would drag my little cousin to go get them so I could play with them. So that's what I would do for these. But they're amazing. Look at them. Look at the Batmobile.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually had that Batmobile, man. I remember as a kid I used to play with that like crazy, and the Penguin one. Those were the 2 I had, and I don't know, obviously those are long gone.
And
but
McDonald's helped shape our lives because we became comic book fanatics ever since.
Yep, exactly.
I'm gonna be that guy real quick. Yeah, I didn't have any.
No kidding. But great toys, of course.
And also, I'm also gonna be that guy again. I don't really like Batman Returns, so.
Oh, stop it! Yo, it has one of the best soundtracks in my opinion.
Okay, that I can agree with, but like the movie itself, not for me.
It has missile-strapped penguins. How can you not love Batman Returns?
I remember that.
That's about the best part.
There were penguins with missiles on them.
Yeah, but these were awesome. And another one, Chiapet, you brought these up. Now you're putting an age to yourself.
I will fight anybody who doesn't love the Muppet Babies.
Oh yeah,
they are incredible.
I love the Muppets. Yeah.
So the Muppet Baby cartoon was incredible. It was the only one that was like not like a badass Transor Z or Robotech, Transformers or G.I. Joe cartoon that you like. That in Looney Tunes because it was depraved Looney Tunes if you think about it, you know? No, the Muppet Babies is amazing. And look, Fozzie.
Yep, Fozzie's the bomb, man. But so there was these, and then of course, I don't know why this made the list.
Listen, this made the list because it was very popular at the time. I never had them, But I'll tell you one thing. I remember, Anthony will remember when we went to Fan Expo, and
Yeah.
I had to buy all my friends' little daughters toys, and I
I wasn't gonna bring this up.
I was going around buying My Little Ponies, and it was at the height of the bronies days, So I'm like, guys, I'm not a brony. I was telling the vendors there, and they're like, okay, bro, they're all buying it. And I'm like, no, I'm not a brony. I'm buying it for my friends' kids.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first times I met Nick, and he's telling me he's buying Milo Ponies. Like,
Yep.
Yeah. So they've always been in my life, clearly.
Yeah, but moving on from these guys, this is more along the lines of Anthony's selection.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
yeah. I had the 5 and 7, Mr. Incredible and Jack. Like Mr. Incredible had a thing on the back, so if you put it, you move his arms like this for punching action, and Jack used to vibrate. So I love the Incredibles movies. I watched that movie so many times, especially as a kid. So going to McDonald's and getting a toy, it's just great. It makes you feel good. It's
an incredible movie too.
Yeah, 1 and 2. My kids still.
They're the two of the best.
Yep.
Yeah. That first one, man, I have it memorized. It's incredible.
Let's talk about these right now, man. The Star Wars ones that hit.
Anyone who knows me knows how much I love Star Wars.
Yep.
And back in 2008, they did a whole Star Wars wave, and I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, I have to go and get some. And actually, I keep these on my desk. I'm not gonna lie. Like I still have these. Like I got
these are
over here.
No, hold the phone. Hold the phone. No, this is not the view I want here. I wanna put you on the big screen.
See, I got Han Solo over here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even Yoda with the Clone Wars animation. He looks
amazing.
And one last, I have Chewbacca and from Episode 6 in the
yes,
so.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, these look so great on my desk. Like I love these. They're my favorite toys like ever. Like they're so. When you said Happy Meal toy, I'm like, this is what my mind went to because this was my.
I didn't even know they came out with these.
Yeah,
this was 2008 when the first Clone Wars movie came out. When that movie came out, they did a whole wave, and they even included some original trilogy characters who weren't in the show. So it was cool seeing them in that animation style almost.
Yep, and as
Luke
you can
over
see,
there.
Yeah, you've even got Ahsoka. But Dan DeLatorre is back, so just to get you up to speed with all the McDonald's stuff we got within Loki, we're revisiting some of the best Happy Meal toys of all time. But so there was the Star Wars one, and this right here was huge. I actually had the number 6. These are the Tamagotchis that came out, and even my wife was huge on Tamagotchi as a child, and even when we were dating at one point, she ended up buying one, and she's doing pretty good with our kids, but she didn't do so well with the Tamagotchi. That's all I'm going to tell you
guys. My brother has one of these. I don't know where it is, but he has a couple of Tamagotchis. So
yeah. So what was this thing exactly?
So a Tamagotchi is one of those little pocket pets. Basically, it's digital, and you got to keep it alive and so forth, right? So you got to feed it. You just take care of your pet. So it was kind of a weird thing, man, but it was very popular when it dropped. So definitely had to shed some light on this one because yes, Tamagotchi was a thing, and they still have them available. I was at Walmart last weekend, and they're there. They have them. So pretty cool to see. But moving on from this, hold on, Dan DeLatorre, I agree with you, man. Sadly, I'm hungry for McDonald's fries. The episode did something to us. McDonald's definitely got their money's worth with this paid advertisement that they're doing. Product placement, baby.
It's working. It's working.
Yep. Exactly. But moving on from this, I had these. The ones I had was actually just the Sonic and the Tails, and for some reason, I was getting several of the Tails ones. It's like nobody was picking those up, I guess.
Those are actually the exact 2 I had also. Actually, I think I might have had Knuckles too, but I remember the Tails one is the one I remember best because that was like my favorite Sonic character growing up.
Yeah.
So knowing that you had it too, great.
Yeah, but these little pad things, man, like these game pads, I loved these, man. I thought these were awesome when they came out, not just through McDonald's, but in general, right? There was several of them. Arcade ones, you would have Street Fighter, you'd have Sonic, the actual game. You had so much cool stuff to drop. But I think these definitely we needed to show some love too because they were very popular.
These were mind-blowing as a kid. Like the fact that I had like a tiny video game, mind-blowing.
And now here we are complaining about our super advanced cell phones with video games. We're like, nah.
My phone doesn't load Instagram in less than 5 seconds. I'm freaking out,
Yeah, exactly.
You can't see it if it's dark.
Yep. But these, man, this is huge. Yes. Super Mario Bros. So these, dude, I'm curious to see what they go for on the secondary market, still packaged.
I remember the Mario.
Yep.
With the spring action.
There you go.
Yeah, that's why I completely blast from my past this one.
Yep.
And what happened with the turtle, with the Koopa?
No idea, to be honest with you. He looks like he's got a pump attached to his rectum, so I have no idea what's
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what he's into, but I don't want to know.
Exactly. But I am curious to see what these go for on the secondary market. So I'll check this after the show and probably update everybody via the comments. But yeah, man.
I'm actually intrigued too.
Seeing a Nintendo thing through McDonald's, right? I think this must have been the entry point. I don't think anything had happened prior, right? So
No.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Comic Nation, rectum pump action, 100%. And the last one, guys, this has to be. I do want to give an honorable mention to the Batman Returns cups. I don't know if you remember those. They had them.
Yes.
Those I know.
Right?
Those are actually I
Yeah.
know those.
Those were out there, but one of the most useful things that came with the McDonald's Happy Meals were the Hercules plates, baby. Yes, I don't care what anybody says, and if you think I am lying to you guys, I still use it regularly, baby. They are right here, 100%. I'm gonna throw in pizza pockets in my microwave. It's with this plate. Yeah, we broke Chiapet. We broke it.
Listen, if it's Hercules, it's obviously got a soft spot for me. From me,
Yep.
being a Greek person.
Yep.
So you know what? I'm down. These are the best ones ever. You're right.
This is so funny because it reminds me of I don't know if you guys know this, but they made cups for Shrek 4 at McDonald's,
Yes,
right? Like collectible cups. But they recalled all of them because apparently they had lead in them.
Well, they did just fine with these ones, so I'm happy. I'm still using them, but yeah, man. So it was just fun to go through some of the McDonald's toys that came out in time, and yeah, man. So guys, that's pretty much the show. That was our recap for episode 2. So thank you guys for coming to swing by, hanging out, and of course, let us know what you guys think in the comment section. For those of you catching the replay, Dandolatori is busted. We broke him.
1 second, BC, before we cut out, theory time. I'm gonna give you guys a theory. I think
lost it.
that we're gonna see Owen Wilson, Mobius, travel back to the past, a future Mobius traveling back to the past, which introduces himself first time to Obi. He doesn't realize he's met Obi yet because Obi met a future Mobius. That's my little bit before in the next 4 episodes.
I like that.
But will Mobius get his jet ski? We all know he wants it.
That's all he wants.
I think we're gonna see him with his life, and it's gonna be a jet ski, and his life is gonna be nice, and it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those sweet and sour moments.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited for episode 3. So like I said, guys, this is our recap of episode 2. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and definitely come back to join us next week for episode 3, which I am super pumped for. We got a lot of story development within episode 2, so I'm expecting to get just a bit more story in the third one and then start seeing things unfold, man. I'm hoping
Victor Timely, baby. Victor Timely next episode.
Yes, it's a must. We need to see him in the next episode. But thank you guys so much for swinging by. And of course, don't forget, come join us next Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time as we break down episode 3. Until then, guys, have yourselves a great week, and we will see you guys next week. Good night.
Peace.